Okay, well, it's 9 o'clock, so we'll call this meeting to order here, the special meeting of the Commissioners Court on the 27th day of March, 2023 at 9 a.m. We're honored to have Mr. Chaz Curtis here today to give us our invocation. Chaz I've known him since he was just a little boy, and doing some preaching and work in the community, and we're glad to have you here today. So we'll rise for the invocation and start.
Again, thank you, Father, for you being who you are, Lord, and what you are in the lives of your people. God, we thank you, Lord, for this opportunity, Lord, for just to commune and handle business, Father. And God, we pray, Lord, on today, God, that everything that is said, everything that is done, Lord, will be said and done for your honor and for your glory alone. God, we thank you, Lord, for all those that serve. God, we ask that you would just begin to give them a mind to serve, continue to bless them, give them the strength, God, to do, Lord, what you call them to do. And again, Lord, we just, thank you, Lord, for this meeting on today, God. Again, we pray that everything that be said and done, Lord, be said and done for your honor and for your glory alone. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Public comments and requests information on non-agenda items in accordance with Section 551.042 of the Texas Open Meeting Act. You're not hearing? Can you hear me now? That'll work, okay. So anyone in public comments? Okay, so we'll move on to number 2, consider and possibly approve the minutes from the March 13th, 2023 regular meeting of the Commissioners Court.
Make that motion.
Got the motion made by Commissioner Applewhite.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Mitchell. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Carries unanimously. Number 3, consider and possibly develop a plan to address the growing number of unsightly structures, potential hazard properties in Titus County. Mr. Bobby Walker and Catarina Wylie. Y'all would like to come and speak?
Thank you. She there. Hey, Bobby.
Perfect. Yes, sir.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for your time to listen to our concern about Titus County. I know most of you guys. I'd like to say I'm a lifelong resident of Titus County. I almost was. I think I moved here when I was about 2 years old. And our concern is how the county, in my opinion, and others too, has become like a dumping ground. I heard on Channel 7 News the other day where we were the stinkiest city. And in my opinion, if we don't start doing something about some of these structures, personal wrecking yards, things like that, we're going to be the junkiest city in East Texas. And personally, I don't want that to happen. It's just, it's an eyesore. It's a property devaluation. And even though it might not have one right beside you, you're lucky if you don't. But if you don't, you probably have to drive by one to get to and from your house. It's getting ridiculous. So anyway, I'd just like to see address y'all and see if there's something we can start, something we can do, try to curb this, clean up what we've already got. and I wanted to go on the record and talk about it. But like I said, we're here to request the County Commissioners Court to develop a plan to address the growing number of unsightly structures and potential environmental hazard properties in Titus County. We know this issue has been discussed in the past, and it's critical that action be taken soon to mitigate the rapid rise of the eyesores. If you'll look at the Texas Health and Safety Code, which I talked to Ken and Mr. Bishop about the chilies over the other night, I think they were aware of this. They said something about it, said something about dogs, and talked about it possibly. But it's, it may be some things in that we could, use for some muscle or some backbone to, get some of these things done.
Yes, sir. And was it 2 meetings ago, or it might have been 3? We have addressed this to some degree. I think some of this may not include everything that you're talking about. We have got in with the Sheriff's Department and the environmentalist, Bain over there. We are going to start issuing tickets on cars, abandoned cars that are 300 foot from any of the roadways, which is nuisance. There's also some things that we're looking into. We haven't got a final answer yet on those, Mr. Walker, but the cars, tires, washing machines, several different things. I'm looking through these, and I've rode with Commissioner Mitchell, riding with my other 3 commissioners in the upcoming weeks, and we're having these addresses. If you will get those, these addresses, we do have those now. We'll get those to the officers, and we're going to start trying. Some of the things that we cannot do, just because the house is torn down and stuff, that's something that we can't really address. But anything that we can address through that nuisance law that we're working with Officer Bain, we are going to address. First one will be a 30-day where they have to remove the property. If they don't do that, there will be a fine. And the 4th time, then we can go clean it up. And people say, well, you don't have the title of that car. Well, I can get the title now, and we can start trying to clean some things up. But we appreciate you being here today. We'll look over these examples that you do have here and get with the officer there and do our best to start straightening this up. And with the help of the JPs and the Sheriff's Department, I believe we are moving in the right direction on that.
Well, you're saying you can't remove a structure. I'm just giving one reference in the county I live in. I'm sure they're
Right.
countywide.
Yes, sir.
But like over by close where Mr. Mitchell lives, Roy and Mag, the old place there, the old Volkswagen Beetle shop, the house that he used to live in, it collapsed. I mean, it's just a pile of insulation and junk right there by the road.
Yes, sir.
Besides the old shop and the camper sitting there with an eyesore, I'm surprised the state let them stay there. I saw a piece of paper, like maybe some kind of notice taped to the door of the camper the other day, like possibly they might have told them they had to move or something.
And
But the right of way there,
The reason why that hadn't been moved, he's in jail right now, the guy that owns that deal. Because I've talked to Blaine about it, because I got right on that, and Blaine got right on it when we talked about it a while back. And he's in jail right now.
well, like that old house there, I know.
Yeah, that old house, I know exactly.
That can't be taken care of?
Oh, it needs to be taken care of. It's all the way to the ground.
we're working with the legal people on that. What it comes down to, Mr. Walker, is some people can't afford to fix that house up. So if it's got running water and utilities and things of that nature, there's a liability there that we cannot do on their homestead. But the other stuff, the cars, the tires, the washing machines and things of that nature, and also, I don't know if you've been out the Monticello Road, when you get out there, for a better think of a word before I say something. I don't know what they've got thrown up there on the side of the road, a lean-to, but we're looking into. Okay, well, okay. I didn't know that was that. I have seen it, and we are working on it to see what we can do about
I live in the Monticello community.
it. Right.
So I drive by it pretty
Well,
often.
it definitely is an eye hazard, and we're working on that as well.
And all these mentioned in there is just in my precinct.
Right.
But I've talked to other people.
It's all over the
All
county.
over the whole county.
Yes, sir.
And they all say it's getting worse.
Right. Well, we started the process, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, where it's always been a law, but we hadn't been enforcing it because the JPs weren't going to do the fines on it. We've worked with Officer Blaine, and we've also worked with the JPs. I hope in 3 months you come back and say, hey, things are looking better out there, because that's what our goal is, to clean that up, Mr. Walker.
Well, I mean, back to that structure I'm talking about, I don't want to beat the push on it too bad. I mean, it's no way it's rebuildable. I mean, it's just, he knows, it's just in gust in itself, you know, it's just.
Yeah.
I think we're all in agreements, without a doubt. And so all we're doing is waiting on the process to make sure that what we can do and what we can't do legally. And once we find out that we can have it removed or get them to have to remove it, then we're going to move forward with it.
Probably one of the worst ones that I've seen around in a while is out on Highway 67 across from the Farm Cabin Cemetery.
Sure.
Guy's house, I think, was burned.
All the cars burnt, yeah. All the cars.
It's pitiful. And all that junkyard stuff, cars and things like that, there's probably at least 10 or 12 fluids in a vehicle that's draining into the Cypress Basin, which part of it goes in Lake Mount Salmon.
Yes, sir.
So it's environmental issues too, besides just eyesores.
We are all on the same page, I promise you. And like I said, me and Joe D came in January, and one of our priorities was to do that. Went to school with these 4 guys here and got some more information on what we can do and can't do, and are starting to move forward on that. Like I said, I'm riding with all the commissioners. As we write down addresses just like you've got here, and reveal those on over to the Sheriff's Department. Even spoke with them. The problem that we got, we may even have to have 2 officers, and if we do, the 5 of us have no problem with that either, because we're going to clean Titus County up as legally as possible and as quickly as possible.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yeah.
I hope I can come back.
That's just not lip service.
We need to make some kind of effort, because
We
we're all probably lifelong Titus County people here.
Absolutely.
And, we're proud of Titus County and Mount Pleasant, and we'd like to, see it in a better situation than what it's in and what it's got.
Absolutely.
I'll give you a little example here in the city, which they call it, on the road. Look at the Everett Cemetery up there. Been by there?
Yes, sir. I go by there regularly, so.
I mean, that's how it gets started. This stuff.
It takes a little bit, and then you don't enforce a rule, and then the next one says, well, I did that and that. So then it compounds very quickly. But like I said, we've only just begun, and like I said, I don't know how long it's going to take us to clean it up. I've got 4 years to do the best that I can, and that's one of my priorities there.
Is there any way that, do we need Cole Hefner involvement? Is there something he could do or help us on?
It's not necessarily Cole. It's just the statute of the laws and stuff with the nuisance, and with the house being burnt down, that's a very gray area on that. But we are working on that.
Well, it's more than just burnt down houses.
Yes, sir. I'm just using that as one of the examples. If it's more than 2 cars, they're going to either have to build a fence or move the cars. If they don't move the cars, there'll be citation for that as well.
Well, I'd like to comment on building the fence. I think that's just a Band-Aid. Because,
We totally agree with you.
Who's going to, how are they going to maintain the fence? And,
Well, that'd be your cold question there.
It doesn't get rid of the environmental hazard.
Right.
Still got all these fluids in these vehicles that, and I know that
They're not draining them and disposing of them properly. Absolutely. That would be more of a cold question than us. We don't make the laws. We're just enforcing the laws here. But we're glad to help you. We're glad that you're concerned about it. When we first started it, they told us that we were going to get complaints on us doing that. So we're glad to know that we got some support as well, trying to move forward and clean it up.
I think there's going to be a lot more people come forward about it, in the future, if we can't see some kind of improvement or something, because everybody's tired of it. Want to, do something different.
We appreciate that.
Okay. I appreciate you.
On 67 over there, it could have been worse than what it was. Them cars out there, like you said, there was a propane tank right in the middle of those cars. It could have really got bad over there. And And the neighbors around there, it makes their property value go down. And, you know, who wants that eyesore next to you? I don't blame
It's
them.
not just the cars, I mean, that is the junkyard.
Oh, yeah. He just said, just piled cars up, and he should have fell under the, you know, a zoning, some kind of zoning deal where he got to put those cars out there. You maybe look at that, but it was a very bad day.
Everything's zoning in Texas.
Well, like I said, you know, like I said, if we have to, we can zone a car lot like that. We say you need to be commercially zoned in the county.
Well, I don't know, we said something on that deal, and all the fluids and everything.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Everything to the creek,
I know it.
right down.
You know, it was hot over there. I know that.
I fear is that particular one, he's probably lost his house, because it's burned, you know?
Two houses, a trailer house and a house.
What's he gonna do?
It's
Move
probably-
on to another place, or just leave that?
It's got something. There's something that needs to be done.
Right.
We do appreciate you coming.
Okay, all right, thank you for listening.
You have.
You can leave that on.
This is Catarina, Wylie, assistant officer.
I live in the same area, I see the same problems. I wanted to address, if you look at page 2, I just want to address what you think about our legal ability to enforce this law. I don't know enough about it yet because I haven't finished any research on it. But if you remember on Highway 127 and County Road 2400, this is hearsay, but this is what I understood. The owner of that property had already, and I think he owns property on both sides of that intersection. I think the owner died, and what happened is now the person who's inherited that property has taken that pattern that his father established on the left-hand side, which was just cheap, I mean, really bad condition RVs. Not RVs, probably mobile home would be a better description. He's packed as many of them as he can, and they all have 2 or 3 vehicles. They have junk all over out there, and now, because of the fact that he has access to the other side, because he's inherited it, he's already started on the other side, and it's the exact same issue. You know, it's just growing and growing and growing. So, I know that's on I think it's on county water. Is that not true?
That's true.
But what kind of sewer systems do they have there? Do you know?
That would be an Officer Bain question, and he has to check those out. Each one has to be, per each acre, has to have their own septic system, and he does all that regulation and of that.
Well, what I want to know is, okay, people can get permits, and then they can put something in place, and then what happens is, if we fall asleep at the wheel, and even a little bit, he gets to have the next 6 months to expand, and then he has to take a fine, and the fines, I don't know about those fines, but the fines that you guys are talking about are $50 to $200 per day. For a lot of people, that will be, you know, prohibitive, but for other people, it may not be. It might be cheaper to pay the fines. I'm not certain how you up the fines in Texas. I don't know if that's even an option for us. But the bigger problem is that, just as you were saying, we need to be sending a signal to that guy that owns that property. We're on to it, and we don't like it, and we want it to stop. Now, I get it. We can't tell somebody how to use their property, but we can say, you can't use your property in a way that negatively impacts all of your neighbors. And that's what we're really finally coming to. It's just like, we are talking to all of our neighbors about it. We're talking to people up and down the lake that we know. It's everywhere the same comment. And so it's out of hand, and I know you know it. So we leave it at that. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is there a copy somewhere that talks about the rules on these clear water systems?
Yes.
Whatever. Is that?
Do you, Chris, that's in Mr. Bain's office, right? Mr. Bain's office over at the Sheriff's Department. He can give you. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir, most definitely.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
But if you do see somebody that's got a trailer house hooked up and they don't have a sewer system, most of them they put in, they have to have a clear water system put in. And if they just can't hook up onto a existing line, a septic system. So, well, there's been a few. There's been a few that's been 2 or 3 on one line.
Well, one of the main things that happened when we installed our clear water system, which, by the way, there was lots of paperwork, and it was inspected by the sheriff's office. And then the problem I see now is that, I mean, when they did that, they really in that kind of a crowded situation. So even though they may have it legally to a clear water system, another way of enforcing it and making it difficult for them to jam it on is to look at the spray pattern.
Once again, we're totally on board with you. Officer Bain is doing a better job at that. He's just one man, and but if you call him and say, hey, we've got this problem out there, that helps him. He can't drive around and see everyone, but any help that we can give him will be certainly gratified by us, and we're also writing these down as we ride around, giving him some tips on where we need to go and what we need to do. And like I said, if we...
One last question, and this is something that's not going to be handled right now, but is there any chance that we could partner with another county so that we can have shared resources to get a designated environmental protection person and have those kinds of issues fall directly to that EPA person versus letting the sheriff, who's got lots of other duties, handle it?
It is a separate department there with the sheriff. It's not just a sheriff.
Can't do that.
No, it's a different program. It's not just the sheriff's department. That's all he does is environmental. Mr. Bain.
He works for the sheriff's department, but
Okay, I didn't understand that.
Yes, ma'am.
He has full-time responsibility for doing that.
That's all he does is that. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
And do we feel like he needs a backup, at least a part-time helper or something like that? Because you said he's just one man, and I hear you, and therefore we can't expect too much more than he's doing.
No.
We want more, so what can we do?
Like we've discussed earlier with him, if we start getting into this, the more tickets he writes, if he does need help, the five of us have no problem with putting that in the budget, and that comes open in October. And we will be looking into that.
You do not have a problem? I didn't quite hear you.
We do not have a problem with getting him more help if that's what he needs.
But the JPs are getting involved too to help him, so that'll give us three. Besides him and two JPs, once we get it established.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you've made a good start. Thank you very much.
It's only a start, and we do realize that, and your patience are greatly appreciated, but it's not acceptable in the county, and we are working on it. Okay? Number 4, consider and possibly approve the payment of title policy and escrow fees related to Farm to Market Road 1735, the right-of-way acquisitions. Gary Luby's not here? I guess we'll have to table that then.
I'm sorry.
Do you know anything about it, Barbara, or do we need
Yeah, I sent you the email. Right, he's not here. Do we need to?
an update or anything on it?
I think it's in that email. What he needs is in that email. It should be.
I just thought normally he comes with us, so possibly $700 for each parcel, but I will check with them, so.
I think that's.
So the title policies will be $328 for case number 42678, $473 for case number 42662, and the title company has some escrow, possibly $700 for each parcel. Possibility on each parcel there. So he's needing to be able to pay these landowners is what it is. So the one case would be the 320, so it's going to be 1,028 and 1,173 for the two different items there that he needs to pay those policies on the right of way. That's out on 1735.
I make a motion, we approve them.
Got a motion by Commissioner Parker to approve these two payments.
Second.
Got a second by Commissioner Parchman. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Carries unanimously. Consider and possibly approve the purchase of a new 2024 International HX 620 haul truck, $60,600 with wet kit from Southwest International Trucks. Are already approved through the buy board purchasing, is that correct, Barbara? For the 136.33.11.
Kent, I'd like to say something on that.
Yes, sir.
They called us right after I'd got the stuff to Barbara and said it would probably be the third quarter next year before they could get it. But in the meantime, we found some other stuff. In fact, Jody and I are going to Texarkana to look at one today. And so I don't know if we want to go ahead and approve this one, and then if we find something better, then we can do that. If we don't find something here pretty quick, we need to let these folks know where they can go ahead and get it on order.
So are you saying you want to table this, or you want to go ahead and,
I say we table it and just wait to see, find something better.
Because it was, they got another truck that they said they could get, hopefully, but, you know, as soon as they can, but it may be 90 days to 120. But, you know, if they find something with, like the Mac, you know.
well, I'll make a motion that we table this number 5 agenda on the purchase of that truck until we get a little further along.
Second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Parchman. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Approved unanimously. Number 6, consider and possibly approve the purchase of a used John Deere 670G motor grader from Doggett Tyler using the general missions priority year fund, the form of ARPA, for $195,725. And that'd be precinct 2. Jody, that you?
Yeah, what we're doing is just replacing a piece of old equipment with a newer, which is not new, it's used. And it's something we really need to take care of our roads. So I'd like to make a motion to purchase that.
Got a motion by Commissioner Mitchell to
Second.
a second by Commissioner Applewhite. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Carries unanimously. Number 7, consider possibly approve Texas Highway 49, 1/10 mile east of the eastern city limit sign to 1/10 mile west of Farm to Market Road 2348 intersection. Number 2, the railroad bridge on Farm to Market Road 2348 as the Clay Island Craig Memorial Bridge, and we have Bo Rester here to speak on that today.
Appreciate you all allowing me. We've done this in the past. Judge, Mr. Mitchell, I think this will be your first time to consider this, but we've done highways previously. I won't mention those unless you prefer. I think you probably have before you what we're requesting this time. There's 2 House bills on the floor of the House right now, House Bill 3106 and House Bill 3108 being considered. Those bills are always done. Don't have the solicitor out working and supporting us in this, so they'll put these 2 requests in a bipartisan bill. They put it in 2 bills, so if one doesn't pass, you don't get shot down on both your requests for naming right-of-ways or roadways in Titus County. Our objective here is just to honor the veterans of Titus County. Prior to me getting involved in this, a few years ago, some citizens named FM 2348, 2349, and 67, and Johnson Mays, United States Army Staff Sergeant Johnson Mays Memorial Highway. As I discussed with Kent a couple of days ago, just briefly, as we talked about this up here, that was named for an individual. We don't have enough highways to name for all of those that are listed at War Memorial Plaza right down here on the Granite Stone. So we began to, in the history of this thing, Tractor Battler came to me and said, hey man, I can't do this, got an idea, but you could do it, you run with it. We ought to honor the wars, not individuals, not enough highways, but let's not just put up one sign that says we want to honor veterans. So then we set that precedent. This one's a little bit different. War, it's hard to say, World War I. But that'll be on 49 as listed. And then the Clay Island Craig Memorial Bridge there on 2348. That's a little bit different. That is an individual, but those 2 young men were killed in Clay Island Craig as KIA and Operation Iraqi Freedom. Prior to Johnson being in KIA and Operation Enduring Freedom. But those 2 campaigns were at the same particular time in the same region of the world. That's the 2 only losses in Titus County. Those campaigns are over, so it will be any further. With Chauncey having been honored with the memorial, we felt that how do we not include the other young man from Titus County? So I approached his mother and asked, would your family feel wondered if we could do that? And I asked Chauncey May's family, would you guys feel slighted if the bridge was, and everybody was in great approval. So that's where we are on these two. Your approval is required before we can go further. Then we've got to get two pieces. Yours is as important as the House bill. So the eighth legislative session is in session in Austin right now. So hopefully the House bill 3106, 3108 will be approved. And then once they are, then they will be looking for the Titus County Commissioner's Court's approval. At that point, if we have both, it will go to text application and further information. We'll have to raise the money locally to pay for it. We've got those bids, we know what those numbers are. But that's pretty much a summary of what we're doing and a continuation of what we've done in the past. So I'll take any questions, concerns.
But like me and you discussed now, moving forward, we're not going to do any more names of the roads other than the wards themselves. But you said something about the funding. Do you have somebody raising some money on this?
Well, I do it every year, every 2 years, so the legislative session will happen every thing. So we always try to get a couple done, then we're off for 2 years. So the first time we did it was the Vietnam side, and it was $3,400, something in that range. And I just thought, man, I can find 34 guys with a $100 bill in Titus County and support the contractors, and we always have to do that.
Okay.
Then the next one's in the 4,000, the next one's in the 5,000, and these two, believe it or not, going around sitting around $10,000 a year. But what we've done, I've just campaigned, once we get the approval, we just campaign across the county and ask people that want to support it. So now we're looking for 100 people with a $100 bill. But we just have to raise the money on our own and then send that money to text dot.
That makes sense.
Make a motion, then we approve this.
Got a motion made by Commissioner Applewhite to approve this, second by Commissioner Parker. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Carries unanimously, Bo.
Appreciate that.
And if you need to go ahead and exit, we understand. But you're welcome to stay if you need to.
I'll need to get this something that shows your approval in some simple fashion that I can forward to the state's reps office. Then that will be forwarded then to the state senator's office, and then once we have that, House bill's passed.
Monica can get that to you. She'll type that up, and then the four of the commissioners, and I'll sign it as well.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Bo.
Have a good day, Bo.
Number 8, consider and possibly approve the creation of a committee review. There's 3 submitted architect bids for the repairs across the street here on the annex building, and make recommendations to the court based on qualification of each firm represented. I'd like to speak on this just a second, not try to keep you all here long. Mark Berry, Titus County resident, lives in Dallas now, that's an architect over there, did not bid on this project, but said that he would be honored to serve on a committee to look over anything and to try to advise the commissioners and me on which way to go on it, and even to look over the drawings at no charge. So if we do conform a committee, I do believe that we ought to ask Mark to be on that committee, Dr. Berry's son from here in Mount Pleasant. And then also I've talked to across the street to Judge Saucier to see if one of them, if she would be on that, because it'll affect them, how they come in and out while they're doing all that. So I think they need to have a spot on that committee. Other than that, I'm open to anybody else being on a committee that y'all see fit to put on there. Barbara probably needs to be put on there as far as the money goes and keeping that all arranged, but she may not appreciate that, but I think she needs to be there with us too. So, but if y'all got anybody else that you need to put, I think we need to move forward. I don't know how many of y'all have been across the street lately, but the rock's starting to fall off the building over there, and we're getting to be like out in the county. We're getting to be an eyesore across the street and move forward with this. And we've got 3 architects that we can look at those 3 different bids and go from there. If y'all would like to do that.
Judge Cooper, will you be on that committee or one member of the board?
I'd be fine with being on that. Just can't more than 2 of us be on it, but yes, I don't mind being on that. And if one of the commissioners would like to be on that, that would be wonderful, I think.
I wouldn't mind being on it.
Y'all all good with that? Anybody else that y'all think of that we need to have on there? Do you think we need, I mean, we'll have Angela, so she's an attorney as well. So we got Angela, myself, Joe D. Mitchell, Mark Berry, and Barbara. Can I get a motion for that to be the committee?
Make a motion.
Got a motion made by Commissioner Applewhite for that to be the committee to review this.
Second.
Got a second by Commissioner Parchman. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Carries unanimously. Number 9, consider and possibly reducing the speed limit on County Road 1750 to 20 miles an hour, and that's in Commissioner Parchman's district there, and that goes up to the Gladewater Baptist Church. Is that correct? Jeff?
Yes, yeah, it's a dead-end road and has, like I say, the church and cemetery on it, and I had a complaint on it. People, for some reason, want to just fly down that road every now and then, so I think we need to put a sign up 20 miles an hour, kind of reduce it down, so everybody can see it. So I make a motion that we reduce that to 20 miles an hour.
Got a motion made by Commissioner Parchman.
Second.
Got a second by Commissioner Mitchell. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Carries unanimously. Approve oral and written reports from the county officials.
Make a motion we approve those reports.
Got a motion made by Commissioner Parchman to approve the oral reports by county officials.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Mitchell. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Carries unanimously. Consider and possibly accept the treasurer's report as a matter of record.
Make a motion, we approve it.
Got a motion made by Commissioner Parker to approve that.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Parchman. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Carries unanimously. Approve the budget amendments, which Barbara's got those.
Commissioners, I sent these to y'all last week. It's 2023-15, 16, 17, and 18. 2015 is our largest one. It's my mid-year budget review. If you'll recall, I do that every year, the mid-year budget review. I look at every line item and see what we're at and see what we need. So I'll go over this list. If you, the first one, just because you happen to be the first department judge, not because I'm picking on you, is the county judge travel and seminars and dues and bonds. Those items are going to have to be increased. You know, when you get, you'll find as we go through here, when we get newly elected officials, there's more training, there's we have to do the bonding again, and so these things are increasing in most area categories. So there's an increase of $9,150. This is an estimate of what it will take to finish the year. I don't know that you will need that much money next year, but when you're due, you always need it. It may be that you need it for a few, 2 or 3 years, because it takes a while to get you know, y'all all been there, you know what that's like. So that plus dues and bonds of $1,850, those funds do come out of general county contingency. There's dues and bonds for the county clerk's office of $500. The next item, this follows the actual general county budget as far as the departments go. The next item is non-departmental, it's accrued leave salaries. Let me give you a little history on this one. Historically, Titus County has not set aside funds within the balance sheet for accrued leave, sick leave. At retirement, we pay 25% of sick leave, any vacation, any comp time. We just paid those out. What's happened, what's been the plan is that if that number were huge, then that elected official did not fill that position until those funds were absorbed. That gets to be very difficult in some areas, such as the sheriff's department, such as road bridge, such as any office that has deadlines to meet if they don't have enough staff. So 2 years ago, we started setting aside $15,000 to pay for those kinds of things. So far this year, we've already spent around $27,000 in paying out those kinds of fees. Now, there's some options there. We can go ahead and set that aside from our fund balance. That would cost us between $400,000 and $500,000 of fund balance, but then it would have to hit our budget as we go. We would just hold it there. We wouldn't actually spend it. We would just set it aside for that purpose. So what this item is here is to have enough money to pay those costs, those estimated costs, for the rest of this fiscal year. It may not be as high, this just makes an amendment to the current amount. So the amount that I suggested is $45,000 for approved leave salaries, and then the FICA and Medicare retirement for a total of $54,424. Again, if you don't spend that, it goes back into general county contingency.
Barbara, you do feel comfortable with that number, though, getting us,
I think it will get us through. It should get us through this year.
Okay.
And we may need to consider when we do budget, but we want to
Work on that.
Something with some balance to set those aside. The next item is district court. Other than litigation costs, we had some costs for forensic research that does not fall into the court attorney information that we have to report for the indigent attorney fee, so we need to put those in a separate line item. This money is not coming out of general contingency, it's just coming out of district court adult attorneys. It's just an offset one for the other, so that we can meet those reports. The next item is JP1, a $300 increase to dues and bonds. JP2, a $390 increase to dues and bonds. The county attorney and investigator salary. John Mark requested these funds when we did the budget, and it was approved. I put it all in one line item, but in order to be fair and transparent, we separated those out. He requested $5,000, and so this does not come out of general county. It just comes out of that part-time court labor. It's to set that aside from the investigator salary. There's no impact on general county contingency. For Constable 2 and Constable 1, both of those individuals receive an auto allowance, and we are required to pay FICA and Medicare on those two items. The other ones were included in the budget. These two were not, so $2,309 will come from general county contingency for that. I know I'm going fast. I have a habit of talking on that. Y'all jump in, but it's a lot of information. I know you've already seen it, but you've already read it. The sheriff department, we have insurance repairs. There was a sheriff department vehicle that was damaged, and they had to pay the $1,000. Well, they could pay it. They did not get the money back because of the deductible. So it's $1,000 there. When we look at miscellaneous costs for precinct 1, Commissioner Parchman has requested that we increase that by $1,000, and then that money comes from road materials, again, not from general county contingency. Precinct 2, we had to increase dues and subscriptions on that for $178. That comes from road materials. And then the last one of 2023-15 is legal fees. We had some legal fees related to the acquisition costs because of the eminent domain. If y'all recall, there were, I think, 3 properties out there that we had to do eminent domain on because of their old judgments against the property and things like that for the right-of-way purchasing on 1735. That does not come out of general county contingency. It's only within that fund. Those funds were designated for that purpose when they were originally set up. So any questions on that one? That's the longest one. 16 is something, y'all approved it at our last Commissioners Court meeting. It is our participation in the Office of the Governor's Shield Grant for the Sheriff Department. It's $87,120. We simply set up a revenue item and an expenditure because we'll have to be able to report that information to the Governor's office. And because it's a grant, it had to come for your approval. We had to meet the purchasing requirements. This vendor is a member of, I think it's by board. So, and as we were told, it would be 3 to 8 months before we get those funds back. The next one is 2023-17. This relates to the Sheriff Department, the commissary store, and the commissary fund. In doing the research and going to the training, I have found that revenue that we receive, that the Sheriff's Department receives for telecom, or phone cards, telecom-related funds, is required to go to general county. It cannot be designated and stay within the commissary. So what I'm doing here, and I've talked with the sheriff at length about this, I've talked with his assistant, he's on board with it, he knows what we're doing. In fact, he wants to do it. What his words to me were, if there's something new, we want to do it right. So please do that. So he's fully aware. So what we're doing is we're going to move a about $55,000 of jail telecom revenue from the commissary into the sheriff department. And then those funds, the funds will come into general county as revenue, but then there'll be a line item within the sheriff department to allow him to spend those as needed for the jail. It does not require, it's not required then to be part of the commissary. So that's what the $55,000 is. And then any funds we've already received, we have to move those from commissary into general county. And it gets to be a little confusing because one, the store is the fund where they sell the things through commissary and the funds come in. Then when the profit is made, it's transferred over to the commissary fund, and that's where it stayed in the past. Now it will be moved into general county. So it's a little bit of bookkeeping, accounting, work, but I think we've got it straightened out, and again, the sheriff's familiar with it, and it's required in order for us to meet the requirements for the use of the commissary. The last one is 2023-18. It is a follow-up to some discussions that we had earlier. The shared items for capital outlay that we had set aside for the prior year funds, the prior year ARPA funds. We had $582,000. For example, there's leftover funds here. We had said we were going to purchase a water truck and a used reclaimer. Both of those came in at less than what we thought, what we had set aside. So that left us $25,150. That's from money for the savings of the used water truck and money from the savings of the used asphalt trailer. So we've now designated that with this approval, $25,150 to be used for the purchase of the bottom dump trailer. I went ahead and got this ready to go. We had the bottom dump trailer, those bids came in. We received one bid and it was incomplete. There was no bid included. They filled out the paperwork, they didn't include a bid, so we'll have to go back to the newspaper and do those same advertisements. But when that is prepared, when that goes through that whole process, these funds will be available. They're obviously under 50. They'll be designated within this, and then we can purchase that with Mr. Parker's approval. He's the one who's kind of overseeing that at that time. I know that's a lot, so I sent it to you earlier.
Appreciate it.
If you have any questions, I'm happy to entertain those, or talk about my office and see. We'll go over one at a time.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget amendments.
Get a motion by Commissioner Applewhite to approve the budget amendments.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Parker. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Carries unanimously. Number 13, sign pay orders and approve payments.
Make a motion with pay bill.
Jimmy makes a motion.
Second.
And seconded by Commissioner Parchman. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Carries unanimously. Had any comments today?
Yeah, I want to go back to what we were talking about earlier about when they was in here talking about the septic systems and whatnot. I just want to say that Sergeant Bain does an outstanding job at doing what he does. And being a licensed installer myself, I know how thorough he is with the rules and regulations by TECQ. So anytime I've ever had a problem with anybody doing illegal systems or sprinklers like that, all you got to do is call him. He'll go out there anytime and enforce those rules. So I just want to say he does a great job at doing what he does.
I agree with that. Jody?
No comment.
No comment. Dana? Jimmy?
The only thing I've got is I picked up the water truck, new water truck last week. I've got it out at my yard waiting to get tags and everything on it. So it is ready to go just as soon as it's a good truck. I drove it back from Tyler, and it's a real good truck, got 153,000 miles on it. So it ought to last us for a long time. But just as soon as we can get the tags and all on it, well, it'll be ready to roll. That's all I've got.
That's all. Well, like I said, I'd like to go ahead there with Commissioner Parchman, also in agreeing on Bain's doing a great job. We just got to get him, if it gets to doing everything in the county, we may have to get him some help and need to look into that. But we are going to try to clean Titus County up the best that we can. So I'll take a motion to
I make a motion to adjourn.
I got a motion by Commissioner Mitchell to adjourn. Second by Commissioner Parchman. All those in favor?
Aye.